When I begin a remix project, it's important that the tempo of my project match the tempo of the files that I have just loaded into Logic. Right now, I'm going to guess that this song is at about 100 beats per minute. I might be wrong, I might be right, I'm not exactly sure. I'm just going to take a guess. I'm going to take this drum track, which I know has steady beat, and I'm going to drag it right into Logic, into this mono track. And usually, if it's a good stem and you got it from a good source, the beginning of the track is going to line up, and that this whole first transient would hit at a logical point within the music. Right now, it's not even close. I'm going to assume that this is going to come in on measure 5, I should say. Each one of these is a measure. So I'm actually going to change my tempo to see if I get a little bit closer off the bat. So I went to 110, and you can see how it shifted over. So I'm probably going to be more like 115, something like that. And I'm going to assume that this is beat 1. In order to be sure what this tempo is, I'm going to put a marker here, and I'm going to split by playhead and remove what was at the beginning. And then I'm going to remove sound after about 4 beats. I'm going to just isolate these 4 beats in my sample editor. And I'm going to make sure that I have exactly 4 beats of time. As you can see here, I've started a little bit too early, so I'm going to move that over to the beginning of that transient. To be very specific, I want to zoom in by using Control, Option, Arrow to see how close I was. And you can actually see that I wasn't close, and I need to zoom in and move the bar to the beginning of the transient. I hit the arrow key and I can go to the end. I can't see where the end is, so I have to zoom back in. Pick 4 beats, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is where it has to end. At the end of the 4th beat, go right to there. Zoom out again, go to the end, adjust it so it hits the beginning of the next transient. And if I didn't mention that, these bumps are called transients. Every edit I make here is reflected up in the arrange window. So now I have a pretty decent 4-beat loop. If you ever wanted to learn how to loop, that's really how you do it. So now, I go up to the top, I can close this window. And I'm going to assume that this is beat 1 and not hitting there. So I'm going to, for now, slide this over to measure 5 and see if it fits. And right now you can see I have a little left over here. It's not quite right. So this tempo is not 110. It's still a little too slow. So what they've done in Logic, which is kind of cool, is if I highlight the loop tool in the up on this top bar, I can actually Command T and get a dialog that asks me to change the tempo of the project to match this. And I say, yeah, change the entire tempo globally. And now you'll see that that fits perfectly. And if I was to play this loop, it'd probably sound like it was moving on without a glitch. So you can tell it's nice and even. Once I'm done with that, I can drag this back out because that audio information is still there. And now my piece begins on measure 5. If I want to keep that drum groove going, the remainder of the file is still there. I just was only looking at a small section of it, so I could keep dragging that out. Now to make sure that actually worked, what I might want to do is grab another track and dump it into Logic and see what happens. So I'm going to take a look at this synth track, because from what I recall it has some time in it. I'm going to drag it to the beginning. I'm going to have that line up. I'll play it and I'll see if that drum groove matches up with the synth part. So I'm off and running. That's pretty good at it. What you can also do is, if you wanted to, you could turn on the metronome and have the metronome click as you're playing and see how well it lines up. Some people will actually have the big window with the beats going by so they can watch the beats go by as they see the transients. You can do it either way. But once you have that lined up and everything's lined up to the grid, you are ready to start adding tracks and then begin the editing process.